Honey, we're going to talk about these registration fees. Stay tuned. Okay, so registration is a very exciting time, but it's also very nerve-wracking because, especially for me, because I was applying for the conditional license, the day I met the requirements was the day before the deadline for the conditional license expired. So I'm like, I need to get everything correct. So like a good 2 weeks before, I printed off all the forms, practiced filling it in so that like the day of, I'm just ready and set to go. And the week after I filled out the forms, I'm like, there's some things I'm not so sure about on. So I called RECO, which thank God that I did, because I called RECO and I asked them like, what does these things mean and stuff like that. And for the most part, they're able to clarify my questions and direct me into what I needed to do. So in general, I say that all the time, the things you need to apply is one.
By now, if you're watching this video, the conditional licensing period does not exist anymore. It just did for a short period of time because Humber didn't have all of the courses available they didn't have all the courses available at first, so a lot of people were waiting and completed the courses but weren't able to get registered because of the delays that Humber had, whether it was them or RECO or whatever the scenario it may be. That was a certain exception.
But for now, all the courses are available and you have to complete all of the courses in the proper sequence in order to get your real estate salesperson certificate. So you have to do course 1. You have to read course 1, do course 1 exam. You guys know this by now. But in any event, the things that you need to apply for your license is one, having your transcript, having the RECO application, and the police report. So I have another video on how to get your police check done. So I'll link that here. Make sure you check that out. And I have another video on how to print your course transcript. So make sure you check that out as well. So in general, I'm going to show you guys how to get the RECO application. By this point, hopefully you've chosen your brokerage. If you need some questions on what to ask a broker while you're interviewing different ones, check out this video. But your broker of record or your people at your company should be able to help you direct. If you go to the RECO website, which is reco.on.ca, you just click at the top here for real estate professionals, and then you can scroll down and you'll find registration form. If you click registration forms, you scroll down and we'll go to page number 2. So this is the application. So it'll be really good for you to read through this ahead of time so you can see exactly the questions you need to answer and just be mentally prepared. So up here, you're gonna be doing your signature. So you do need to print this and fill it out, or if you have like DocuSign or some kind of electronic signature like that, you can add that in and then you date it. This section here is to be completed by the employer. So whoever is the company name will go there. We'll just say EXP brokerage. So here, this part is your name and address. So you're going to be clicking this box here. You can just put an X. So we're doing a new registration, and because we don't have a registration number, you put your student ID. So it's like X0123 whatever. And then you don't have to touch anything else there. Jurisdiction, form, that's former jurisdiction, which we don't need it. And then, yeah, so that doesn't apply because this is a new application. So you put your legal surname, you put your legal first name, you put your middle name, if applicable, trade name. So my legal name, which I'm not hiding or anything, my legal name is Victoria, but my trade name that I want to use is Tori, which is my nickname. So here's the thing. So I called RECO and asked them about this part. because like we touch on it in the course too. If you want to use a trade name, it's perfectly fine. Usually your trade name is just a short form of your name. So at first my trade name was going to be Tori, which is Tori, which is within my name. Victoria is Victoria. And so I called RECO just to make sure, because I wanted my application to go through right away. So just to make sure that Tori would be acceptable. And she's like, I think so. And I'm like, okay, can we double check? So she went and asked her supervisor, and they said, no, it's not acceptable. And I'm like, oh, may I know why? They said, because Tori is not a short form of Victoria. And I'm like, it is, because it's right there. It's right there within the name. But in any event, they said it's not acceptable. So in order to use it, which is fine, I needed to get an affidavit. So I'm searching for different Notary of Publics in the Hamilton area. I found one company that they do it online. And I'm like, oh, awesome. So I looked them up, and basically they do a Zoom call and they verify your identity. You show your ID, they make sure it's you, and then they will sign the document electronically. And they have no problem doing that. So I called them. They said, yes, for sure they can do it. But I just have to call the institution in which I'm submitting it to make sure they will accept it. So then I had to call back RECO and explain it to them. They said they won't accept it. I tried pushing, they wouldn't take it. So I said, okay, so I have to find another person. I found one person, which was $75. I'm like, that's a bit much. Got another person, which was $60. I'm like, okay, better. And then I found this last person who was amazing. Best price and just a nice guy. So the other companies I had called, I had to leave a message, or I got like a call center and they said someone would call me back. But this guy, I liked him because he was just ready on the phone. So he took my call. He said, when do you want to come in? I said, tomorrow if possible. He said, yeah, for sure. Come in. He gave me his office. Yeah, this is him. Okay. So I found this company called Notary Today, and I'm like, okay, this is the kind of thing I need right away. So I called him. He picked up the phone right away. He said, yeah, you can come in. And I made an appointment. He's in the office, I believe it's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I had called on a Thursday, so it was perfect timing. So I went in the next day. The prices are very reasonable. So it's $34.99 plus tax for the first notarization. And then each additional notarization is $19.99. So like compared to some other companies, like that are just charging like $60 for one, like you can get multiple for him if need be. Good. So they do notaries for a bunch of things. What they need from you is either a driving license, passport, permanent residence card, or Ontario photo card to prove your ID. And yeah, with him, I love that he had really good competitive pricing. He was very fast with his service, and he's just overall nice guy. Okay, so that's about notaries. So if you are using a trade name, if it's a short form of your name, just call RECO to make sure if it's acceptable or not. Some forms like, what's an example? We'll say Vincent and Vinny, I don't know. You know what, I can't even make a suggestion because I don't know how they would work, but there's some forms, I really don't have an example, but there's some forms that are acceptable, which they will approve no problem, but if there's some things that are just call RECO to confirm. But in any event, if you do want to use a name other than your own name, it's certainly possible. You just have to jump an extra hurdle and pay a little bit more money to get there. But for me, like Tori, like with my whole business and how I'm building it around relationships and stuff, all my friends and family call me Tori, and that's how I wanted to have the same feel with my clients and stuff. So it just made sense for me in my business, so it was worth going through the extra hurdles. So I'll just show you an example of what my affidavit looked like. When I called RECO and they said they needed an affidavit, I'm like, okay, what information do I need to put on it? And they said they have a name change form and the requirements are right there in the form. Okay. So this is the form that they told me to reference. Notice of name change form, salesperson brokerage. So because we're doing our new application, we don't need to fill out this form, but the affidavit just needs to meet these requirements.
So the first one is identify you by your legal name and address. State that you are commonly known as trade name. State that you by your legal name and by your trade name are one and the same person. State that you wish to trade in real estate as trade name and for no improper purpose. Must be sworn under oath and signed under seal by yourself and a notary, solicitor, or commissioner of oaths. And the seal must be legible on the document. If sealed with an embossed seal, it will not be visible when faxed, and the original must be mailed to the office. So
I'll just now show you the example of what mine was. So it just says affidavit of trade name for RECO, sworn or affirmed on this day, 10th day of July 2020.
I, Victoria Keeney of Hamilton, Ontario, make oath and say that my legal name, Victoria Keeney, residing at my address. I am commonly known as Victoria Keeney. I, by Victoria Keeney, and by Toria Keeney are one and the same person. I wish to trade in real estate as Toria Keeney and for no improper purpose.
So I just have this section, sworn, affirmed before me. That's the city, the province on this date. And then there's the signature of the commissioner, and I put the title there, Notary of Public in or for the province of Ontario. Commission expires, not applicable. And then there's my signature, my legal name. He did, you can kind of see there his thing, and then he has his stamps there. So that's what that form looks like. Okay, so trade name, Toria Keeney. So you put your date of birth, you put if you're male or female, you put your residential address, apartment or suite. Sorry, I won't make it look so. This is not my real address, people. City. Just doing this for fun. Ontario. Nope. We'll say the province is Ontario. That's the postal code. So then you just put your phone number, your email address, and okay, so applicant address for service. So you put that and the phone number and the email. Okay, so that's that. So now section D, notice and consent. Make sure you read all of that, and then you check yes if you agree. And then it says here, please check this box if you consent to RECO providing your email address to a RECO member who requests it, strictly for these purposes only. So that's why it's good to have a business address to put here, or you know what, however you want to run your business. So you print your name, applicant name, you print your signature, and now section F. So now you need to provide your complete employment history for the last 2 consecutive years. You cannot leave out any dates, no gaps, or this will come back to you. Like they'll send the application back to you to correct it. So even if you've been off work during the quarantine, you put unemployed, employed/student because you've been at Humber. Humber salesperson, and then you put the date. And then here, you get the idea. You put Rogers, the position, and the dates. If you need more space, create another page, do a chart on a Word document, and just fill it out. Okay, this is a bit complicated. So section F is the applicant disclosure questions. So you really want to make sure you read through this and understand it. And if you have any questions, ask your broker of record or call RECO for clarification. So question number 1, it says, are you or will you be registered or licensed, engaged or employed in any other business, occupation, or profession? If the answer is yes, you go to this is page 3 of 5, it says go to page 4. So you go to page 4. So if you answered yes, the information required includes, they'll need the full name of the business, as well as the position held and the nature or description of the business, occupation, or profession. And then the part 2 is if the other employment involves activity that falls under the definition of trade, found in the Act, you must provide a copy of the complete job description supplied by the employer. So if you were licensed maybe as a mortgage broker or life insurance, I don't know, if you have some kind of other registration or license with another occupation, you'd say yes there, and they'll want to know more about that. Question number 2, are you a partner, officer, director, or shareholder in any other business? Like, this is if you are part owner of any other business, like what it says there. Yes, and then refer to page number 4 for the details. So for page number 4, question 2 now, if you answered yes, this is what's required. The legal name of the business and operating name if applicable, and the nature of the business, your position in the company, and any ownership interest. I'll show you later my example. Number 3.
Are you now or have you ever been involved in personal bankruptcy or insolvency proceedings, filed a consumer proposal, or been an officer, director, or majority shareholder of a corporation or partner of a partnership which has been declared bankrupt or insolvent, or is presently a party to bankruptcy or insolvency proceedings?
Ha! This is getting a lot wordy. So again, if you know if you're yes to any of these questions, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be registered. It just means that you need to provide additional information. So if you have any questions or need clarity of that understanding, I am not the best person to consult. Either consult your broker of record or call RECO themselves and ask for clarity. Question number 4.
Are there any unpaid judgments, debts outstanding against you, including but not limited to the CRA, requirements to pay and garnishments? Are you an officer, director, majority shareholder of a corporation or partnership of a part?
Like, you can read it, but they basically want to see if there's any judgments against your name. It doesn't include like anything like credit cards or small things like that, but other things, which again, if you want clarity, I refer you to the third-party professional, which is either your broker of record or RECO themselves. Number 5. Have you ever had a registration or license or professional status of any kind refused, suspended, revoked, or canceled, and or have been involved in any proceedings during which you resigned a resignation or license or professional status of any kind? Or like, you can read it and understand it. If it's yes, yes. If it's no, no. And then the last question, number 6, are there currently any charges pending, or have you ever been found guilty, pleaded guilty, or been convicted of any offense under any law or any officer, director? Again, make sure you read it and understand it. If you have any questions, I refer you to a third-party professional. Okay, so again, these are some more disclosures, so make sure you read that and understand. As realtors, we need to get used to reading the fine print and understanding the content, okay? So number 4 is just more details like the trade name, the employment history, those disclosure questions, errors and omission, registration fees. Okay, so application fees apply, and if it's a PDF, you can just click the link there and it brings you here. So it's easy for us, it's not easy, but I meant the information's right there. As a new salesperson, this is our fee. It's $590 paid to RECO. The $590 is broken down as $390 for something, and then $200 for an application review fee. Where did my form go? Oh, it's blank. Okay, no problem. I don't know. Can you go find it, please? Close the door, close the door, close the door. Okay, so the day you send in your application is the same day you need to be prepared for RECO to take the payment. So if further assistance required, there's their phone number right there, local and toll free to call if you have any questions. And then once the application is completed, you can email the completed application to this address or fax it to this phone number. The good thing about the application is you can send it anytime by email. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning, send it. as long as you filled it out correctly, but they'll accept it anytime, and then they'll just review it the next business day. And this is the credit card information. So for the payment information, you put the name of the applicant. So I put Tori Akini here. There is no registration number, so for new applicants, you leave it blank, and then the fee is $5.90. The information, card number, expiry date, CVC, then you need to do a signature and a date there, and also an email address. So with this being a registration fee of $590, once it's paid, make sure you keep a receipt or a record. I didn't get an official receipt, but I kept record. I've added it into my QuickBooks as a fee for taxes for registration. So make sure you keep that. So that's how you fill out the form. So when you're applying to RECO, you need to have the RECO application filled out. You need to have your trade name affidavit. If that's applicable for you, you need to have your school transcript and your judicial police check done.